Hello, this is a very random video, a very spontaneous video. I don't even know how to start this video. Because basically I put this afternoon aside to just kind of do plant stuff for myself, things that I've been meaning to get on top of for ages. I've done some rearranging as well. You might be able to see some of it behind me, but I'll take you through all of it properly in a minute. But as I say, I wasn't going to film any of this, but I'm just getting to the stage now where I've been doing stuff for a few hours and there's some stuff that I'm doing that I kind of want to be talking through with someone, and I kind of want to get your opinions, and I just think it would be more fun to do it together. So yes, that is the plan for this video. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Yoli. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learnt over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And yeah, so it's going to be a very chilled, just kind of pottering around, doing things with plants, not planned out or structured at all kind of video. I have also got something very exciting potentially arriving this afternoon, so if that ties in with this video, it would be amazing because I am so excited about it. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So what I think I'm going to do to start this video in a minute, I'm going to take you off the tripod and I'm just going to show you what I've done so far, because I, as I say, have had quite a bit of a rearrange of my plants this morning. And I know a few weeks ago in a video I did get those bamboo shelves and I tried to make everything feel a little bit better then. And I did say at the time, I was like, I feel like they're going to be a little bit of a temporary fix because there was still stuff on the floor. It was still a very cluttered area and it was kind of like an accident waiting to happen. So I've got some other white shelves. These are just cheap and cheerful ones off Amazon. I got the exact same type. Coffee machine. I got the exact same type when I did my Patreon video. I did a organising my cupboard of chaos and I got these shelves to organise that cupboard. They worked really well, they were easy to put together, and so I was like, you know what, I'll get some more for by the window and hopefully it will do the job. And standing back and looking at it, I have definitely freed up a lot more space here, but I'm not quite happy with it yet. I'm not quite happy with it, and so yeah, I would like to get that area feeling a little bit better today if I possibly can. I've also just got some other plant chores that I wanted to do today, things that I've got on my list because I am being very good at the moment at using my list. I've got some things that I want to just kind of get through. So yeah, I'm going to take you off the tripod, stop waffling and show you what I have done so far. And as I come over to the window, you might be able to see a new plant. Oopsie daisy, I splurged. I went to a local garden centre. In fact, and we'll talk about this in a minute, I drove myself, I know, exclamation mark, I drove myself to a garden centre and they had this fern leaf cactus and it was the last one left. And I caved. It's been a wish list plant for such a long time. And I know I've had a very small one and that's what you can see potted at the top there. I have potted them together. But yeah, I caved. I got it. I don't regret it. I think it's amazing. So what I've done so far today, I've got these white shelves, which the purpose of getting them was so that they would hopefully just kind of blend in with the windows a little bit. And I feel like they kind of do that. And on this shelf, I've tried to like, I don't know, I want to just try and cover them a little bit. Like, for example, I've just got my Hoya latifolia just kind of climbing up here. It's a Hoya that needs to be trellised anyway. And while I decide what kind of trellis I want to do for it, I thought this was a good kind of practical way to keep the plant happy and also hopefully to get some lovely growth coming out there. Oh my goodness, also the rug is still outside and as you can see, it's raining. We won't talk about the rug. The rug just apparently lives there now. But yeah, so I've got this shelf here fairly organised, I would say. There's probably a little bit more I can do, but it feels like everything's in a good place. I've taken some stuff, I've had a bit of a rearrange of stuff in my cabinet, taken some stuff out and put it on shelves, vice versa. I also am starting to, and this is all in the name of decluttering, I'm starting to put to one side some plants that don't need as much maintenance, and they're going in the bedroom because, as I've said so many times before, I know I'm so bad at keeping on top of, oh, also just walked into my cabinet. Oh my God. I'm so bad at keeping on top of the bedroom plants compared to the ones in here because I am in here most of the time. So what I've done is I've moved my big euphorbias, for example, they're through in the bedroom. I've just moved some plants that if I do slightly neglect them, it's not gonna matter that much. But yeah, then coming over to this shelf here, my Monstera dubia, I've just lent up there for the time being. I actually don't like it there. I think it makes it feel a bit cluttered, but we will come to that. But I've created a little rehab shelf down here, and these are all plants that are needing a little bit of TLC and are not doing great. Some of them, as you can see, are in little isolation bags if they've had pests. And I'm really happy that I have now got like a designated space for that, because I feel like I would just be able to monitor them a lot better. But then, yeah, these shelves are feeling very, very cluttered and crowded. So I think what I want to do is probably take all of the plants off this shelf and try and think of a little bit of a better structure and how I can make it work. I also like my philodendron splendid there. I love her there, but I'm like, is that a practical place? I don't know. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. And I was actually just about to get my Hoya latifolia Sarawak off the shelf I've put her on and maybe start her climbing here as well. So maybe I'll do that first. Also, something that I completely forgot to show you is that I've got so many corms from my variegated alocasia fry deck, and I've just got all of them. I've actually got better at labelling my corms as well because I've had so many recently that I have just forgotten what they are. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 corms altogether, which I'm super happy about. I'm very, very excited to grow them. And I'm just keeping them over by the window, and I will come back to them probably in the next few weeks. I've got some alocasia green shield corms here that I put in to sprout, I think about 2 weeks ago, and they're all rooting already, and they're all, if I take a peek inside, you can see that they are starting to sprout as well, which is really, really exciting. So yeah, I've come across a few exciting things this morning actually, and I was going to say I haven't had a plant care day in ages. I absolutely have, but I don't know, I feel like pairing it with organisation at the moment is just something that's working really well for my brain, and feeling like I'm organising my plants as well as getting on top of caring for them. I don't know, like I get the sense that it's what I need to be doing at the moment. And I've just come back down here because I know I said that I was getting my Hoyas to tendril round, and I think it will do them a lot of favours. I was just about to make a point of saying they need to be tendriling you need to, oh my God, Claire. You need to wind their tendrils in an anti-clockwise direction in order to be able to help them produce lovely growth, because that is just the way that they naturally tendril. And I was about to show you, and I've just realised that I've actually done the wrong thing. I've actually wound it clockwise. So I'm going to undo what I've done and we can do it again. So yeah, I'm just going to undo the little bit of string, and then I'm going to carefully unwind what I wound before and wind it back round the other way. And this one has been wanting something to climb for a really long time. And as I say, this probably won't be a long-term solution, but I do really like it when I see plants that have just been like, I don't know, they almost feel like they're just a part of the furniture in a way. Like I've got words today. I was not prepared to film. My words are failing me. But I guess just a little bit more how they would be in nature, like growing off each other, attaching to things kind of naturally. I don't know, they don't feel as posed. I guess that's the right way of putting it. Just think like when you go for a walk in the woods or something and you see plants climbing up other plants and things kind of naturally winding around. I really love that, and I would love to be able to just incorporate a little bit more of that into my collection as well, because I know, oh, okay, I did not tie that tight enough. Let's try again. But I know, like, I've got lots of pretty pots, and I've got lots of things that make them feel, I guess, just very houseplanty, but they are all wild plants that are obviously just being cultivated in a home environment, and I'd like to make them feel a little bit more natural. So yeah, let's give that another go. And the thing that I've got turning up shortly, again, I wasn't going to do it as an unboxing or anything, and I might not. If it doesn't arrive while I'm filming this, then I might just save it for myself. But I have ordered myself a wish list plant. And I know I'm like, maybe it sounds silly saying like, I'm trying to declutter my collection and da 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 da, but I don't want to go out and like have a huge plant binge. Like, I don't want to get loads and loads of plants to do a massive haul, but it's a plant that I've spoken a lot about for a very long time, and I saw it at a price that I was so more than happy with. And I just so happened to be ordering stuff. I was ordering substrates and pots and stuff at the same time, and I was like, you know what, while I'm here, I think maybe it's a sign that my plant is here as well. Okay, I've also done that much better. That is what it is looking like now. And as I say, there's lots of little nodes down the main stem where I can see there are points at which leaves could grow, and it just hasn't given me any growth yet. And I do think that is probably because it hasn't had anything to climb. So I'm hoping that now it's on this, I'm hoping that it should start to give me some lovely growth and look beautiful, because I do love the Hoya latifolia, and I love this one's leaves. They're so, like, I don't know, they're so delicate, and they've got such beautiful points on them at the tips. So yeah, it's one that I'm really excited about. And while I'm doing Hoya-y stuff, oh, okay, in fact, before I even get over that, I need to figure out what I'm going to do with my Monstera dubia. I'm really stuck with this plant, because obviously my Monstera dubia is absolutely ginormous, and she is also getting ready to give me a brand new leaf here. She's going to be taller than me in no time at all. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if she had outgrown me in the next like month or two. So I don't want to chop her yet. I do not feel ready to chop this plant. I've got high enough ceilings to be able to grow her really, really big, but obviously she does need quite high levels of light in order to maintain this beautiful fenestrated growth. And currently, I have just had her leaning over there up against the wall before I put these shelves in. And it works okay, but then obviously I can't have the shelves as well. So I'm like, do I just pull her back and have her facing the window? Is that going to look weird? Is that going to be really impractical? Let's try that first. I don't think I'm going to like it, but let's try that first. With all of this as well, please do let me know your opinions, because it's really useful to have some input. Oh my God, what I've just done. But I've just pulled a part out of my tripod that has never come out before. So that's a little bit worrying. I don't think I've broken it. So yeah, at some point as well, I also really do need to reinforce this moss pole with like a bamboo stake or something like that, because it is currently just the wire and acetate at the back, and it doesn't stand up by itself particularly well. But I don't know, having it here, this is the position for the plants that I would like to have it in, because obviously it just gets beautiful light from the front. All of its growth will stay kind of looking out, but I know it's not as practical because me and Yoli will have to squeeze round it a lot. I've also got a fiddle leaf fig here that I love, but I don't know what to do with, so this might become, I don't want it to be a bedroom plant because I really like this one and I like having it in here, but it is one that's fairly low maintenance. So maybe that will go into the bedroom plant pile. Yeah, I know I can't have all of my plants in this space. I know I can't because they literally won't fit, but even having taken my euphorbias out of here, the room feels a little bit naked because I love growing those plants in this room and I love seeing their progress. And maybe this will be even better having them next door because I'll be able to go through, and because I'm not as vigilant with monitoring those plants, I'll be able to, I don't know, like see more dramatic updates in their growth. But yeah, I mean, actually, although I hate, you probably can't see it from where you are, but this bit where I've left to extend on the moss pile, I've left a bit of wire hanging over the top. Although I don't like the look of that, I much prefer the look of it in between the shelves, I think. I don't know. Let's put the camera over here and we can stand back and have a look together. It's also such a grim day. I mean, it is just like a very big moss pole right in the middle, but practically it works. And I just think that kind of balances the space a little bit better with the shelves on both sides, if you know what I mean. Yeah, okay, I'm going to leave it like that for the time being. I think this may all change in the next 5 minutes, but for the time being, I think I'm going to leave it like that. And then, yeah, these shelves over here, those ones, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to organise them yet. Because I quite like what's going on here. And I quite like that this feels like manageable, but not, as I say, not too overcrowded. Like I can still get to everything. Also, while I'm here and I can see things that I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about them. This is one of the little babies that I divided from my variegated alocasia frydek, and how beautiful is that leaf. Obviously it is pretty much completely white. I say white, this one is more, it looks more aurea, but I know that it is just like standard white. This leaf probably won't last that long, but it is very, very pretty for the time that I've got it. And yeah, I've just got it again in semi-hydro because I think that is the best thing in the world for alocasias in my experience. And then my Peperomia Hope, I gave this one a little trim back earlier because if you watched my video on plants that I'm excited to grow this year, I said that I feel like I'm not bringing the best out of this plant. And I just took some cuttings, which are in fact just here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and propagate them from leaf cuttings because previously, I was trying to do stem cuttings. I tried stems in soil, I tried it in sphagnum moss, I tried it in so many different ways and I didn't manage to successfully root any of them in that way. So going back to how I would propagate, for example, like the Peperomia frost or the watermelon Peperomia, I'm going to do it in a similar way and I'm going to do it from leaf cuttings and we'll see how that goes. And yeah, the reason that I feel like this one isn't sizing up, in fact, it is actually getting smaller, but the reason I think it's doing that compared to my Peperomia Hope before, which was giving me beautiful growth, is the fact that this one hasn't been getting as much light. So I've given it a good water through just now, and I'm putting it literally facing out, straight out the window, and I'm hoping that that should mean that, bearing in mind I've also given it a chop back, I should get multiple growth points now, and that growth should be much bigger and fuller. It's a test, but this is I was going to say work in progress. This is one that I will keep you updated with. I'm trying to just try more stuff this year. I want to try stuff out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But hopefully then I'll be able to come back to you and yeah, let you know what you should and shouldn't do, or what's worked for me anyway. And that feels like the right thing. Also, the variegated alocasia frydek corm that sprouted a few weeks ago has now got 2 ghost leaves. And I have heard from lots of you that they can give you ghost leaves and then give you leaves with green on as well. So I'm really hoping that's what's going to happen. But the fact it's giving me any kind of new growth already, I think is a good sign. So yeah, I'm going to try and just leave it alone and again, I'll let you know what it does. So with this shelf over here, as I say, everything's just kind of been put on here a little bit willy-nilly, so I feel like probably taking everything off is the right thing to do first. And I thought also I'd just give you a little update. Ooh, interesting. I was going to say a little update on my Aglaonema zebra feathers, because I was struggling with this one and I moved it from its spot over in the kitchen. I brought it over to the window. I was like, is that what's going on? And I was about to say, and it's giving me new growth, which is exciting. And whilst it is exciting, and it has got some very healthy roots, why isn't the camera focusing? There we go. Well, it has got some very healthy roots. I can see that there are also some very shriveled ones on this side. So I feel like this is probably, oh, in fact, yep, the base of that is very, very squidgy. So this, I am sure, is the root cause as to why this plant was not doing well for me before. Okay, so I'm going to put this to one side and we can deal with this shortly. One thing at a time, but we will deal with this once I have sorted out the shelves. Oh, also, this is probably going to be awful light to show you it in, but my Anthurium radicans, some of you have been saying, oh my god, I didn't know you had one of those. This is the one that I got in my Aroid Market unboxing that I did a couple of months ago now, and I absolutely love it. It's doing so well. I can tell it has just started to produce pollen as well. There's an inflorescence there which does not want to focus, so I'll put, there we go. Oh, you can kind of see it. I'll show you it properly in a minute, but I'm thinking I might try and collect some of the pollen so I could try hybridizing it at some point. I know you see beautiful, beautiful luxuriance crosses, and I would absolutely, I've spoken before about it, but I would love to attempt some more interesting hybridization within Anthuriums in my collection. And in fact, I've got a lot to say about Anthuriums as well, and we'll get onto that later in the video, because I'm really, really changing up how I grow a lot of my Anthuriums this year. It's a plant that previously a genus that I've kind of struggled with. There's certain types of Anthuriums that I've always been fine with, and I've never thought of myself as being bad. I don't think I'm bad with Anthuriums, but there's some that I just haven't been able to get my head around. And so yeah, I am having a proper change up this year. But I've got stuff that I want to show you along with that, so we will come back to that. Hold that thought. Oh, and I've currently just put my Alocasia Jacqueline down on that shelf, and I honestly feel like that's probably the only place that she can go now, because she's so big. So big. So I've moved most things, bar these two plants, off the shelves. Oh my goodness, finding places to put them even temporarily is a bit of a nightmare. I feel like it's going to get to the stage soon where I'm going to be like, how did I ever survive without having shelves like this? Because I just know it's going to free up so much space. But my Hoya latifolia Sarawak is giving me some really lovely growth. She's got this leaf down here, which is starting to harden off. And then I've got this big, long, I know I always call it a tendril, but just kind of leggy bit of growth that is looking for something to climb. And again, I'm thinking that I'll probably do what I just did with my latifolia over there and try and get it to climb up this side here, because I think it's going to look lovely. And I think it's going to do the plants a lot of favours as well. So yeah, this is the only shelf realistically where I'm going to be able to do that, because the others, so basically I haven't actually put another shelf in here. There's meant to be another shelf, but I decided to leave that out, which is the really good thing about these shelves. You can just kind of put them at the height you want, so I can still have this space for bigger plants. So, I'm so dyspraxic. Left, right. Clockwise. Anti-clockwise. So yeah, obviously as well, this will be, assuming this works, this will be a fairly straightforward plant to be able to take on and off the trellis. And that always helps, because especially with a big Hoya like this, it's one that I do quite like kind of taking out and probably looking at regularly, and I'd like to not limit myself in how I grow her. And I know I was asking some of you guys to send me your Hoya trellis ideas, and oh my goodness, thank you so much to those of you that have sent stuff over, because there's been some incredible ideas, and I'm genuinely feeling so inspired to get some of my Hoyas onto lovely trellises thanks to you guys, because yeah, I can never find trellises that I actually like, but I've had some of you sending across like ones that you've made out of twigs and branches, and someone wrapped some macrame cord around something, and someone else glued some shower pieces together. There's been some really cool creative things. So yeah, I'm excited to do that, but for the time being, while I decide for some of my bigger ones, and one like this that is just growing awkwardly, like I'm so happy it's growing, but it is just growing very, very weirdly. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna let it grow for now. And one of the substrates that I've ordered, one of the ones specifically for Anthuriums, in fact, that's arriving hopefully shortly, I do want to use on my Anthurium Regale, because this is one that it's not doing badly, but it's one that I still just like, an Anthurium that I'm struggling with, one that I haven't got my head around yet, because it gave me this beautiful, beautiful new leaf, I think about a month ago now, and it looks okay, but do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look like a lot of other people's regals, and like I know it's not about comparing, and I know that plants aren't meant to be perfect and all that sort of stuff, but mine just doesn't look as healthy. And I think that is just because I haven't found a good balance yet, because I've checked it for pests, I've been on there with a microscope, I've tried so many different substrates, and the one that I'm going to start with today, I already use on a couple of my Clarinerviums, and in fact the only successful bit of my Anthurium SP Lemon. That's the only way that I've managed to turn a corner with that, and it involves just a very chunky Anthurium mix, lots of bark and tree fern fibre, which I've only ever tried on Anthuriums so far. I know it's one of these things that kind of blew up a little bit in the plant community recently, and everyone's been like, oh my god, have you tried tree fern fibre? And I haven't tried it enough to be able to talk about it that much. Oh, the buzzer just went, maybe this is it. 1 second. So it is, I think, the package that I was expecting.
Claire's got a massive package.
So this is actually a lot more stuff than I was expecting. I'm not sure if it's both what I think it's going to be, but I know one of the boxes is, so I'm very excited about that. So you just wait for Ross to make his coffee.
Well, I was trying not to make sounds because I thought you were making it. I was being
No, darling, you go.
Thank you so much.
So, as I say, one of these, and I'm pretty sure it's this one because this is lighter, is a plant. And the rest are substrates, pots, just things that I woke up ridiculously early. I can't remember, one day last week, and I was thinking about all the things that I needed to get, and I was like, I want to get more of the tree fern fibre, and I also want to see if I can find some really tall tower pots. And so this is from a company called Eastern Tropicals. I had never heard of them before, I've never used them before, but I've heard very good things. Since I ordered, I started looking at reviews and stuff. I was going to say this is not sponsored or anything like that in any way, but I started looking at their reviews, and it seems like they've got a very regular and loyal customer base in the plant community, so I'm very excited to have discovered them. Oh, okay. Right, so it's all packaged well, and this says tree fern and Velcro. And I did actually order some green Velcro just to help keep plants. I'm really bad at explaining stuff today. Either to just kind of hold plants, help them, oh my God, whilst they are attaching to moss poles, or for example, like my Hoyas that I've just spent ages tying string around, I could use the Velcro for that. I think probably me demonstrating today is gonna be better than me talking through things. But oh my goodness, this is adorable how everything's wrapped. But that is the tree fern fibre that I have been wanting to use for my Anthurium mixes, so I'm really happy to have some of that. I don't really need to open the Velcro now, I'll do that as we get to it. And then, oh, this is exciting. These are the really big, tall tower pots that I've been looking for, and as I say, I haven't been able to find any this big anywhere else. They're often really hard to get out. Okay, I've got 3 there, but look at the size of them. I think these are like 15 centimetre ones, which is amazing. These are primarily for me going to be used for Anthuriums and alocasias, just because as I've shown in other videos, I'm doing lots of makeshifty things where I'm kind of like wrapping acetate sheet around plants so that I can kind of build it up a little bit more, and I want to be able to kind of air layer the base of those plants a little bit more, and just having a deeper pot allows me to do that. So they're also amazing for use with semi-hydro because of the drainage system they've got on them. So as I say, for alocasias particularly. And then I've just got a very heavy bag of, this is actually Soil Ninja stuff, I think. Usually I tend to order it directly through Soil Ninja, but because I was on the website, I just got it there. And yeah, this is an Anthurium and orchid blend. So that's all the practical stuff, which means that the plants that I ordered is in this next box. And oh my goodness, if you've been, I was going to say if you've been on my channel for a while, if you've watched a couple of my videos, you'll probably know how much I want this plant, and I think it's going to be very, very, very small. I honestly don't mind at all. I said this year I'm wanting to kind of buy smaller plants if I do get plants, because I'm trying not to overdo it. But yeah, I also said when I first ordered this, I did drop them a message, and I just said, obviously it's very cold here in the UK at the moment. If you want to wait to send this plant out, then that's absolutely fine. I'm in no rush. I prefer the plants to be healthy. And luckily, although the weather is grim outside, it is actually really quite mild this week. So yeah, they said that it would be fine to send out. And it's wrapped in corrugated cardboard. Oh my goodness, it's packaged amazingly. There's so much, I don't know what they're called, like bubbly wrap, bubble packaging type stuff. I was going to say, it looks currently like the plant is massive, but I definitely don't think it's going to be. And I can't remember exactly how much I paid for this, but I'll put it on the screen because I, as I say, was really impressed with the price, and that's why I decided to go for it. Let's see if I can get in there. Oh, wow. I mean, its leaves are a fair size. I know it's only January, please don't judge me. It's got a new leaf as well. It's got a new leaf that's getting ready to unfurl. Oh my goodness. Oh my god, it's perfect. So this is a beautiful Anthurium palidiflorum. I feel like I need to move you close to the light so that you can actually appreciate just how amazing this plant is. Just look at that. Oh my god, I wanted an Anthurium palidiflorum for years, literally years, and I have banged on about it so much, and I've looked at so many places, and this one just looks stunning. And it's big. It's properly big compared to how I thought it was going to be. And yeah, as I say, it's got a little tiny new leaf. So small, but just there, starting to unfurl, which is so exciting. Oh my God, okay, so what I'm gonna do with this one for the time being, although I'm sure it's fine, I'm not gonna just go ahead and put it in with my other plants. I'm trying to get much better at isolating things, even if they do look okay. And this one, as I say, does superficially look totally fine. But I'm really trying to, like, I know I had quite a lot of issues with pests last year, and everything combined kind of led to quite a lot of plant burnout for me, and I'm really trying to avoid that this year. I've been very on top of my pest checking and my pest treating. So I'm just curious to see what it's potted in. I'm just gonna have a quick look. I'm not gonna take it out or anything like that. But then, yeah, I'm gonna go give my hands a very good wash. This looks pretty much exactly like what I was gonna, the mix that I was talking about, the tree fern fibre mix, accompanied with kind of like a really chunky base mix, which looks perfect for this plant. And I can see as well that it has got really healthy roots in there, which is so good. Oh my God. I cannot believe that I finally own this plant. Oh, I'm going to treasure this plant so much. So one thing I am going to do, I can see it's got an aerial root just there. And I know I was talking just now about getting bigger tower pots in order to be able to kind of air layer those sections, or like just pack moss around them a little bit more to help encourage new growth. And I'm gonna do that straight away for this plant. I'm probably just gonna get, like, I don't know, an old cup or a humus tub or even a bit of cling film or something like that, and just wrap that round just to get that section going, because that means that in the event of something going wrong with the roots down here, like for example, I don't think there is, because these roots look amazing, but I don't want to disrupt and disturb the plant too much while it's literally just got into my home. But if anything was to go wrong with those roots, if I start the air layering process up here now, it will start to root from that point down into the soil, and it will just mean that saving the plant is much easier. But it is also just going to mean that the plant's able to absorb lots more micronutrients, and it will grow hopefully much healthier for me. So yeah, that is what I'm going to do straight away. I know I should be clearing up as I go, and I should also probably be doing this at a table, but I'm just very excited and I just want to do it, and I've got all the stuff and I can't be bothered to clear the table and set up there. So what I've got is I've got a little lid from a milkshake or something that I had a while ago that I hung on to, and what I'm thinking of doing, and this is kind of what I've done with some of my alocasias already, I think I'm just gonna cut literally like a little slit like that. And then I should have checked the size of the pot before I started doing this. But what I am going to do, assuming this is the right size, is I'm basically just gonna, okay, a table would be useful now. Let's do it on the floor. So yeah, I'm gonna just try and see if I can get it around the base of the plant. And then I can fill that with sphagnum moss, and it's essentially, it's literally just air layering, that's all it is. But it just replicates how the plant will grow in its natural habitat. There we go, this works pretty well. So yeah, then I can just fill this little dome with sphagnum moss. Get some more moss actually. This is the last of what I've got. But yeah, so my thought is And I would like to ideally do this today as well. I know I can't do everything today, but I'd really like to get some of my more finicky Anthuriums, such as my Anthurium Regale, for example. I'd really like to get them into a mix like this, assuming this is the one that I've already spoken about. And I'd like to do more air layering around the base of them as well, just to try and, as I say, bring out the best potential in them, and hopefully mean that I don't find them struggle plants that I struggle to grow. Because I think I just haven't got the balance quite right yet, and I think often it does take a little while, and there have been some other plants that I've really, really struggled with until I've just kind of tried a few different things, turned a few different corners. And yeah, as I say, it seems to be something that's working well so far. So I'm happy that I'm able to start this little one off in this way as well, because I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit, not that I don't think I'm a capable grower, but I'm a little bit nervous about this one, just because it's one that I have wanted for such a long time. I just don't want anything to go wrong. But yeah, so that's what I've done. I could, in theory, if I wanted to, just tape that to hold it in place. To be honest, I don't think I'm going to bother doing that. I think I should just be able to kind of push it and it'll stay fairly in place. Yeah, I'm happy with that. The little dome is basically just to help keep the sphagnum moss hydrated, and it will just make my life a lot easier and mean that I'm not having to constantly come around and hydrate it. So yeah, what I'm probably gonna do is give this plant a little shower down after filming this, and then I'm probably gonna pop it into my bedroom cabinet, because that really doesn't have much in there at the moment, and I did have pests in that cabinet, and I've just done a big kind of sterilise through and clean of that, so it's pretty much empty at the moment, and that's going to be the place that I put new plants when I first bring them into my collection, even if it's just for the first week or so. But yeah, that is so stunning. So stunning. I am so happy with that. Yay! And I've just given my hands a really good wash. And before I do anything else, as much as I don't want to do it, I am just going to have a little tidy up of this room, because I'm aware that I have this habit of just making chaos as I go and then starting other things when I should probably be having a clear up. So yeah, I'm going to just get this place back to an okay state, get plants back onto the shelf, get plants, what am I saying? Get plants back onto the shelf in kind of like preliminary positions for the time being, and then I'm going to stick to my plan for what I was going to do this afternoon. I'm going to go through and I'm going to tackle some for my Anthuriums, and then I'm going to go back to the issues that I found on the shelves. I'm going to go write all this down. And then I'll have more structure. Okay, so that was definitely not the world's most fantastic clear up, but it's enough to, it's enabled me to be able to use the table, which is good. Because I know I've done the classic thing of starting a million things. I have just written down everything that I would like to get done today. Whether or not I film all of it, that's not the most important thing. But one thing that I'm really excited about is, so I have acquired a few new Anthuriums this year, and I've shown you them already, but this one is a little Anthurium veitchii. And then I've also got the Vitarifolium, which is very similar in structure to the palidiflorum, and I am so ridiculously excited about all of these Anthuriums. But as I've already said, I feel like I really just need to kind of, I don't know, I need to hone my skills. That's such a stupid way of putting it. Hone my skills. I feel like I just need to mix things up a little bit with my Anthuriums this year. So I'm gonna repot these two. I actually haven't seen the roots on either of these because, as I say, they are both, they were both sent to me very recently. So I'm gonna start with this little one. I don't expect its root system to be massive. So you can see what I'm doing amongst the mess here. Yeah, so it's currently just been in sphagnum moss, and what I would probably do, obviously depending on how big the root system is, but what I'll probably do is I'll probably take some of this sphagnum moss and I'll add it into the mix that I use, because they do quite like a little bit of moss. Oh, these are such good roots. Look at that. See, I'm gonna do things very gently with this plant. I've got a little tower pot just here, which in fact, I need to give it another rinse out because it's not looking that clean, so I'm just going to give it a rinse. So I've given it a really good wash and a scrub, and this is mainly just on the outside, but I cannot get this residue gone. It's kind of like what builds up in your shower, and you see, most commonly you see the residue of it on the outside of terracotta pots, and to be honest, this has just been used for semi-hydro. I don't think it's going to do any harm at all. I've got wet hands. I'm struggling to pull the table back. But yeah, I'm gonna just mix as I go with this one. I know I said the other day as well, I was like, sometimes I'll mix up a big bowl of something if I'm gonna, I mean, to be honest, it's probably worth doing because I'm doing 2 Anthuriums. But I don't think I have a big enough bowl spare at the moment, so I'm just gonna layer as I go. In fact, I'm just going to get some bark to put at the bottom of the pot. And this little one has been in my cabinet so far. And considering it was sent on one of the coldest days we've had here in the UK so far, in the last year, I would say, it's done amazingly well. So that's why I haven't done anything at all to it yet. I wanted to keep it really slow, really gradual. So yeah, seeing as this is quite a small plant, I've just put quite a lot of bark at the bottom there, just because I don't want to overwhelm it with stuff. And as I say, this is a really chunky mix. It's a Soil Ninja mix. I'm going to just alternate a little layer of that, a little layer of tree fern fibre. I'm going to do that all the way up. And this is what the tree fern fibre looks like. I was going to say it's very fibrous. It is absolutely very fibrous. It's kind of like a really gritty coir. I think that's the best kind of way to describe it. But as I say, Anthuriums absolutely love it. So its root system looks amazingly healthy, which I'm so happy about. I can't see anything wrong with this at all. Look at that. And then from my experience of growing the veitchii in the past, because at one point I did have a very happy veitchii for quite a long time before things went wrong. I didn't pile sphagnum moss up because it's one that doesn't seem to be as upright with its growth until it kind of reaches maturity and it loses quite a lot of leaves. That's just what I've noticed anyway, but I think I'm still gonna do it just because I kind of feel like it'll give the plant the best chance. And it can't do any harm, can it? It might not be completely necessary, but it definitely can't do any harm. So it's going to be quite a small container I need. I've brought a load of things over. This little sauce pot. And I think that would kind of do the trick. I'm going to have to cut it quite a lot, but I typically hang on to these for corn propagation, like I showed you earlier in the video, but I think if I do a couple of cuts here, so I've cut straight up the side, and because this isn't like the milkshake lid and it didn't have a hole on top, I've also just cut a little hole on top just there. And in theory, I might need to make the hole a little bit bigger, but I think maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger actually. As I could absolutely squeeze the stems through it, but I don't want to squeeze them. So yeah, now I should be able to just gently put those leaves through the gap and fill the whole thing with moss. Perfect, and I'm just going to use the moss that it was potted in before to do this. Amazing. And then I'll give it a little water through after I finish filming this. And it has just got a little brown tip on it, that leaf, and to be honest, it's purely aesthetic, but I am just going to trim that back that way as well by trimming back brown tips and edges. If it continues to spread, then you know it's something that you might want to take a look at, but I'm guessing that's probably just a little environmental thing, seeing as it was, as I say, shipped in very cold weather. And it's been doing some pretty major adjusting to its new environment as well. Because yeah, overall I think this plant is doing amazingly. Perfect. So yeah, I know it's not like the prettiest thing in the world doing it this way, but it's absolutely gonna do good things for the plant, so that's really all that matters. I guess if you wanted to, like with something like this, I could have potted it a little bit further down to kind of conceal that. But I'm happy with that, and I'm so excited for this plant. Oh, I've got so many exciting Anthuriums and I can't wait to grow them this year. I'm honestly absolutely buzzing. So yeah, right now this one. So this one again is currently just in sphagnum moss, the same sphagnum moss as it came in. I can't see anything root-wise, so I have no idea what to expect. Because part of me is like, ooh, oh wow. Oh, it is rooty as anything, and these are some beefy roots. Look at those. Okay, similarly to before, I'm just going to get as much moss off as I can. I'm not going to worry about getting all of it off because, again, if a little bit of moss goes into the mix, that's totally fine. I'm trying to think what size pot I should pop this in. Because, I mean, I've got those 15 centimetres that I've just got. I wonder if that's actually going to be a bit big for this plant. I know Anthuriums do quite well when they're root bound. And also with these roots, to be honest, most of them look absolutely fine. But the dark ones, there's a couple of dark ones at the back there, and I'm going to trim them back. And I think, from looking at that, I know one of them at least, it looks like the root's broken. Could have been snapped in transit. So yeah, pop that to one side. But the rest of them look really good. Really, really good. have a look at these 15cm pots and see if that's going to be too much. Because the other thing as well that I didn't show you that I ordered, because I just found it when I was taking the box away, and I've now put them down somewhere. They're not, it's not that exciting. I also got some drainage trays for the tower pots. That's not exciting at all, but I think it's pretty exciting because I can never find drainage trays that are the same size and shape that fit. So yeah, especially with my new shelves, obviously they are wire shelves and balancing stuff on them can be a little bit finicky. I think having a drainage tray just to help stabilise the pot is a very good idea. Also on the note of the wire shelves, I was going to mention this when we were over there, but I also ordered some polycarbonate sheeting, which actually should be here later today as well. So I'm going to pop that over the top so that stuff can't fall through the gaps. Oh, another tangent over. I'm going to go get a pot. Ow, I just hit my knee. So yeah, this is the pot. It is very big. But I think if I spread the roots, and as I say, do a really, really chunky mix, it should be okay. And these are the very exciting drainage trays that I was just talking about as well, which I just like, just makes life so much easier. So much easier. So I think I'm going to do what I did for the Veitchii, and I think I'm just going to start and I'm going to layer some bark at the bottom, and then yeah, I don't have to fill it all the way up as well because I have got room with this plant. It's not like not like I need to pack it out as much with this plant. I could in theory pot it a little bit lower down and then as the plant grows just extend it. In fact, I think that probably is the best thing to do. And to be honest, I could probably just pack moss all on the top there. But I think I'm gonna do the same thing again using a bigger container, just purely for the fact that I still want to be able to stick my finger down into the soil and I don't want it all to be covered in moss. Again, I think it's just going to be much easier to keep the moss hydrated doing it this way. See, I'm just using an old hummus container here, and I'm probably going to take most of the top of it off just there. Leaves are so long, it's so hard to maneuver them. And again, I'm just going to use the same moss as it was already in. And this is going to work so well for my Anthurium radicans because I'm currently air layering that one with cling film, and it's so tall. I think it's probably going to be ready to go into a pot like this, I would have thought. But yeah, what I think I'm probably going to do, I'm gonna go give these ones a water through. I know that doesn't look as pretty as it did before because it's not in a lovely ceramic pot. I actually don't know. I'm sure they do. I was gonna say I don't know if they make pretty ceramic pots for tower pots or whether they're purely more practical, but I don't really mind. I just want to focus in all of my plants, but particularly my Anthuriums, while I'm kind of still getting my head around certain things of them. I just want to focus on practicality and health. But yeah, I'm going to give this one a water through. Then I'm going to take my radicans over to the kitchen and I'm going to try and collect some of the pollen from it and then potentially give it a pot upgrade as well. I was just getting set up over here and the acrylic sheeting that I ordered has just arrived. And that is what it looks like. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit smaller than I thought it was gonna be. But what I'm planning on doing is just running this across all of the wire shelves so that obviously, as I say, things don't like fall down the gaps. If I want to put little propagations there. At the moment, some of the plants that I've got on there, although they are stable, if the shelf was to get knocked, they would just like, they would not be stable basically. So yeah, I'm gonna put those across all of them so that it will still allow light to pass through, but things should be a little bit more secure. But that's not top priority. That's not interesting at all. I can do that off camera, but I'm very happy nevertheless that it's arrived. So one thing at a time, I'm gonna start with my Anthurium radicans. Because as I say, this one is currently producing pollen, which you might be able to see there. And to be honest, I've never owned this plant. I've only, oh my God, my brain and my mouth are just not connecting. But what I'm saying is I only got this plant a few months ago. I've never owned it before. I've never pollinated, collected pollen with the intention to pollinate. I've never done any kind of hybridizing with this plant. And from the very little that I know about pollination in this type of Anthurium, I'm pretty sure that the offspring it provides tends to be sterile. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. And I think I'm also right in saying that this one either has, oh dearie me, this is where I need to educate myself more, I need to learn, but I'm pretty sure it has a very low count of A chromosomes. And again, I'm sure there's so many of you that are so clued up on stuff like this, and genuinely I learn so much from you guys. So please, as I say, please correct me, please let us know in the comments. But what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to collect what's here, and then I'm going to try some hybridizing because I've got a couple of Anthurium clarinerviums currently giving me inflorescences. As far as I know, you can't cross those two Anthuriums. I've got my silver blush, the Doriaki that I got off Emma recently actually is starting to give me an inflorescence as well. I know that typically, and also I was going to say, by the way, I've just got a fine makeup brush. Camera is just not focusing today and I don't know why. Fine makeup brush, and I'm just going to collect it in some tin foil and then I'll seal it in a freezer bag and I'll put it in the freezer. But yeah, what was I about to say? What was I saying? I actually have just lost my train of thought. I think maybe I was saying about the fact that you often see this crossed with the Luxurians. Is that what I was saying? I honestly don't know. But yes, as I've been saying for a very long time now, and I guess it is just because, I mean, I absolutely am a learn as you go kind of gal. I do learn the most with plants when I'm actually trying stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't. But yeah, this one, I mean, this one was giving me an inflorescence when I first got it, when I first unboxed it. And to be honest, at that point, I didn't collect pollen off it. Maybe I should have done. But I've read very mixed things about collecting pollen from plants that's been imported from a foreign country. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to risk it. And in theory, this one should continue to produce pollen for potentially the next like 4 or 5 days. So I'm just going to continue to collect. I don't think you're going to be able to see on camera, but there's a little bit in there. So yeah, I'm just going to keep coming back and harvesting what I can. And then with the pollen that I store, as I say, I do keep it in the freezer, and I have stored pollen for a couple of months before and it's been fine. I know it does very much a lot of the time depend on the type of plant. Like for example, I know philodendron pollen can't be stored for that long. I've never had success pollinating a philodendron anyway, so I'm not the best person to ask about that. But with anthuriums, yeah, I've stored it for a couple of months and it has been fine. So that is what I'm going to do. I've got all of the pollen from anthuriums that I've collected in the freezer is labelled as well, just so that I make sure that, for example, if I'm trying to cross two that I know will not cross, then I'm not wasting pollen. But the thing I noticed about this one, and I don't know again if anybody could educate me on this, but the one thing I did notice when this one gave me an inflorescence is I did not notice it go through an obvious female stage, because typically with all of the anthuriums that I own and feel like I know quite well, they'll give you an inflorescence. They will typically produce stigmatic fluids, and that is just a very clear indicator that they are receptive. And I didn't notice that at all with this one. It seems to have jumped straight to the male phase, which I'm not too sure about. The other thing that I have a feeling is currently at the bottom of the cupboard of chaos, but the other thing that I typically put in the bags with these are little silicone packs. I get them on Amazon, but they're the stuff that if you get like, I don't know, a new bag or a new drinking flask or something, they will typically come so that they absorb moisture that might get into the packaging. I just do that so that if any moisture is to get into the freezer bag, it typically just will mean that the pollen does not spoil. But yeah, I'm going to be coming back to that a lot over the next few days, I hope, assuming it continues to do well. So yeah, now that I've just harvested the pollen, I feel like this is probably a pretty good time to change it into its new pot and substrate, because as you can see, I have got it in a tool pot at the moment, but it is sticking out so far, and I'm not sure, I might trim it back. I don't know. I'm going to get it out and I'm going to have a look. This is one also that is currently in pure, I know I've air layered with moss around the top of the plant, but it is in a pure Lechuza pon type mix. And I think because this is going to be quite messy, I should probably bring my potting mat over. Yeah, let's do that. You know what? I thought this was probably going to be easier if I brought it down onto the floor. Honestly, I am just moving my way around the flat today, finding different patches that seem clear and making mess and not properly clearing it up. So I'm 100% gonna have a very big clear up tonight. But yeah, when I'm working with kind of fine semi-hydro, it does make sense to do it on a surface that I can then fold up and put straight into a pot or whatever I'm using. But as I say, I have had sphagnum moss around the aerial roots at the top of the plant since I first got the plant, and oh my goodness, yay, I can see it's really helped. Like, look at those roots there, do you see that? These are all new roots that are starting to push out, and this is why you do it. This is the purpose of air layering. It gets all of those beautiful aerial roots going, and it's going to mean that the transfer I make next, however I do it, is going to be much easier, because yeah, in fact, as I'm taking off more and more sphagnum moss, you can see the aerial roots have really started to kind of like go down into the substrate there. So I'm hoping, oh, I mean, this one still might need a little bit more of what I've done. It might need a little bit more on top, but I do hope I'm able to find a way to grow this plant more effectively, because currently I feel like I'm not doing that. Oh, this is going to be messy. Wow. Whoa. Oh my God. I don't know if, hang on, let me just try and get a little bit more of this off. because oh my goodness, these roots, and this is all from air layering, are amazing. These are all brand new since the Aroid Market unboxing I did as well. So what I can see is I can see a very big long section of original stem just there, and that is what's making this plant appear so tall. And that has got a lot of very good roots still on it. I mean, to be honest, some of them towards the bottom are actually looking a little bit sludgy, so it is going to need a trim back. But I'm kind of thinking if I was to trim back, maybe, and this is being brave, but considering how much root it's got, if I was to trim back maybe that much of this, I'm not sure this would grow anything, but I might potentially be able to create a brand new plant. Yeah, as you can see, the roots towards the bottom are a little bit sludgy, so I will need to give that a bit of TLC. But I think I'm gonna make a cut about there, because then all of these beautiful new roots here are still gonna be supporting the plant. And I'm gonna do this not using, I know I always get told off by you guys for using scissors. I'm not gonna use scissors for this. I'm gonna use a very sharp knife, I think. I'm gonna do it up here so that it's safer. Clean, sharp knife. Okay. So that is what I've just removed. And I'm gonna have to give, as I say, a lot of these roots a chop back, because there's some here that are fine and healthy, and there's others that are really not. But I think this has the potential to give me some new growth further down the line. I'm not sure, but I'm not getting rid of it. So I'm gonna keep that to one side, and I will deal with those roots shortly. But then this section here is looking fantastic. So yeah, I'll be able to just pop this a lot deeper now and cover all of these roots at the top. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna need a big 15cm pot or not. I can kind of do with one size down from this, to be honest, but I don't have a spare one unless I just repot it in this that it was in before. Although, considering how quickly these roots have spread in such a short amount of time, I think it would be okay going into this pot size. Okay, none of these decisions are permanent decisions. So as always, please let me know what you would do. But I think I will go with this. I think I'm gonna do exactly what I just did for the other Anthuriums. I could let it callus, but seeing as this is quite high up as well, I think it'll probably be okay. So yeah, that is what I am going to do. Oh, and I know what I didn't tell you about as well. I know I showed you the fern leaf cactus, but I never told you about my driving. So I know I've mentioned a few times recently that I am definitely not the most confident driver in the world. I started learning to drive in my early 20s. I was a little bit late to the game, and since getting back in the driver's seat in the last few months, have just become quite a nervous driver, which I never used to be. I don't remember being back at the time where I was driving a lot. But I've had a couple actually. I had 2 driving lessons. I booked some refresher lessons just so that I could go over things like manoeuvres and like go on motorways and stuff like that and do the scary things. And I have now had my driving lessons, and I drove myself to the garden centre that I was talking about in my last video, the one that's about 30-40 minutes away. And oh my goodness, it's not like a nice boutique-y garden centre. It is a chain, annoyingly. I'd much prefer to be supporting a lovely independent one, but they do just have the most incredible selection of houseplants. And I was just so excited to go there, and I was so proud of myself for driving there. And I got there, and as I say, they've just got such a cool selection of houseplants, so I always really look forward to going. But I walked in and I saw that fernleaf cactus and I was like, oh, I was like, Claire, you shouldn't. And I didn't pick it up immediately. I did walk around a little bit, just kind of browsing, but then I had to go back for it. It was only 20 quid as well, which I think is good. I know it's still a fair amount of money, but I think considering how expensive that plant was, like even a few months ago, I think that is a really good price. I was very, very happy with that. And I'm so excited because, as I say, I've had a little fernleaf cactus for a while, and don't get me wrong, I love it. It's growing, it's kind of growing for me, but it's growing very, very slowly. So now I've potted them up together. I've got the little section at the top, which hopefully as it slowly grows down, it will fill out the rest of the plants. But I just think it is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And as I say, it is one that I have wanted and had my eye on for a while. So yeah, also I know I say about like bringing smaller plants into my collection. I think because with ones like the fernleaf cactus, because its leaves are so succulent, they just kind of extend instead of unfurl in the way that a lot of other plants like, I don't know, Anthuriums, philodendrons, aroids do. You kind of don't get the sense that they're growing as quickly, even if they are fairly fast growers for succulents. So I don't know, I'm just trying to justify it, I think, but I do not regret. I don't regret buying it. I haven't managed to put this central in the pot just because I've spread the roots quite a bit, so it's kind of at an angle. That doesn't matter, to be honest. It's just a visual aesthetic thing. I don't know what you guys think, but and I don't know if maybe this is just a very boring video, but I've quite enjoyed just doing this little spontaneous one today. I feel like I mean, typically, I know this year I say I'm getting better with my list, but typically I will go into each video with a little bit of a plan when I film. I'll kind of sit down beforehand and I'll think, right, okay, what questions have you guys asked? Like, how can I structure things so that I'm trying to be useful as well as just doing planty stuff? I don't know. And this, like, I don't know, it's just felt a lot more, I don't know, just kind of go with the flow and calm. And I don't know if this is something that you guys enjoy watching, but if it is, I will happily do things like this more often, because this is usually what my plant care days look like. I mean, to be honest, that's a lie. This is probably a more interesting plant care day you've caught me on today, because I've done a lot of watering. I obviously did some rearranging, which is fun. I don't get new plants usually, but yeah, I've really enjoyed doing it, is what I'm saying. So yes, let me know if you want more like this, more kind of slow-paced, gentle videos. But right, so I've potted it up and I've left that top section exposed, and I'm going to start air layering that, as I say, in a very similar way to how I have done with the other ones. And I've got a couple of hummus tubs here, which I think should do the trick, although could be a little bit taller. Might have a look in the cupboard of chaos and see if I've got anything a little bit bigger. So I think this is actually just what the little Anthurium veitchii was in. I think this should be fine. I'm just going to give it a little rinse out, but I think if I just take the rim off it, that should do the trick. Doesn't work as well as I'd hoped, actually. I need something a little bit wider. Maybe the hummus pot is the best idea. I just tried doing it with that cup and it's not quite big enough. Maybe I do just do the hummus pot. One of these I'm going to be able to use, like for example, on my Regale, for example, so it's not like that's a waste. Let's give this a go and see if that might work better. And to secure it, I'm just going to push it down into the soil a little bit. Fabulous. Yay. That looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I feel like the plant is going to do really, really well like that. And while I'm here, I am just going to, because I think it's probably going to be easy to do it from this position, I'm gonna get my Anthurium Regale and I'm gonna do the same thing again. I might just whiz through this because I feel like there's not a huge amount to say on it, but I'm gonna do exactly what I've just done again. And as you can see with this one, it is one that's gonna massively, massively benefit from some air layering around the top. And this is one actually, and I'm confident that this is the reason why I was able to achieve more growth on this plant, because it has been a struggle plant from the start. Since I got this plant, things have just gone a little bit wrong. But a couple of you said to me a while ago, you know, if you pot it in a taller pot and you cover this bit, then it will start to help it produce more roots, which will eventually equate to more growth. And it has, but obviously since then the plant has grown even more. So it needs, I think, a pretty big pot upgrade. And then, yeah, some air layering as well. Oh, and I forgot it had this. Okay, so the other thing that I've heard mixed things on, but I think it probably is, I don't know, maybe the right decision, is that my Anthurium Regale was obviously divided from another plant. And I've mentioned in videos before, I got this one at the Equigenera stall at the Rare Plant Festival 2 years ago. And I'm a little bit worried that this plant might have been poached. I don't have any proof on this, so please don't go naming and shaming companies. But if you look at the big chunk it's attached to, that, let's just say that's nothing that I've ever seen in a home environment. So yeah, that's a little bit concerning. But also that does make the plant more susceptible to rotting because it's still attached to that bit. And I've left it attached for the time being just because a lot of its root system was coming from the main chunk down there. But I think now, I'm just trying to untangle it so I can actually get a proper look. But I think its root system should be good enough that I could actually, in theory, remove it and still have a very healthy plant. My God, yeah. Okay, all of those roots there are coming from the new section of growth. So, I don't think this is going to be the easiest thing in the world to do. But I'm going to take a big knife and I'm going to attempt to separate those two bits there. And again, I think I will keep this chunk. As I say, it does have a root system. I don't know if it would ever produce new growth. I don't even know if it's got the points to do that, but I'm gonna keep it anyway and give it a go. But yeah, I'm gonna get my sharpest knife and attempt to hack that into So this is the sharpest knife I can find. I'm using a very small breadboard because the other one's in the dishwasher. Ooh, and I'm gonna try and make this clean, smooth, with not too much trauma to either section of the plant. Oh my goodness, that was the easiest thing ever. I've been putting off doing that for such a long time because I thought it would be really difficult. But okay, so that's what I'm left with of the main chunk. As I say, I'm not going to throw that away, just in the event that it does give me new growth. Also, if it was going to give me new growth, separating it from that bit is going to encourage any new growth. But that is weighty. And then, yeah, this is my plant. And again, I could absolutely leave it to callus, but that isn't exactly, like, that's such a clean cut. I'm going to put it quite high in the pot that I think that should be absolutely fine to go straight into soil. But yeah, wow, that's an amazing root system. Yay! So once again, same system as before with my Regale here. And I wonder actually, I don't know, but I wonder if having had it attached to that main trunk for such a long time is maybe part of the reason why it's been giving me weird growth. Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm just thinking maybe, like for example, sometimes removing corms from alocasia, which is not the same thing at all, but this is just me thinking out loud. But sometimes dividing corms from the main mother plant of an alocasia can help to encourage better growth in the main mother plants because it's not having to put so much energy into producing babies. Not that this was producing a baby, so as I say, that's probably a silly thing to say, but I'm just wondering if I'm going to notice any difference, basically. Who knows? But it has got such good roots. And yeah, it also does seem happier outside of my cabinet, which I was surprised about because I thought that this would be a plant that absolutely loved the cabinet, and it doesn't at all. So for me, I think it's mainly the heat, because my cabinet does get very hot. And I'm not going to perfectly untangle all of the roots because there's no point, but I just want to loosen them a little bit because they're very, very tangled at the moment. Okay, there we go. I think I am happy with them, and that is insane. So yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed this is a massive turning point for this plant. I so want this one to grow well for me. Throwing this everywhere. And like I said, I've got this leftover little cup that didn't fit my radicans, so I'm going to see if I can get it on here, which by the looks of it is going to work quite well. I might actually sellotape it up though, just to hold it in place. Annoyingly, I can't find any sellotape, and I know that we've got some. I think maybe it's in the other room with Ross, but he's in a meeting at the moment. So what I will eventually do is just put a little bit of tape there to just hold that together so that it's sealed. But for the time being, I'm just going to pack in a little bit of moss. and then I can secure it later. Fabulous. Yay! And then finally, the things that I wanted to start were, well, I mean, this was not on the list, but obviously it does need to be dealt with. This is the Aglaonema zebra feathers. That, as I say, is very, very squishy around the bottom there. So that, and that's right by where the root is as well. That ideally does need to be chopped back. I'm going to see if, just for the time being, I can get away with chopping just below the root and letting it callus. But I've just chopped it, and you can see that there, that's rotten. So yeah, what I will do, okay, that's a cleaner cut. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but I'm going to leave that out to callus and then probably get it into sphagnum moss. And I'm just going to have a look at the other, oh yeah, okay, you know what, we've made so much mess, let's make some more. Let's do it on the potting mat. Okay, you know what? I've just emptied a load of soil out, and I've just felt the bottom of these sections, and they are actually fine. So I think maybe I got away with it. So I think I'm gonna just go ahead and pot those ones back up. Oh, and maybe switch out its soil. I think maybe that's a good idea, but yeah, this one, as I say, callus, sphagnum moss. Hopefully then it will start to put out some roots from here, and hopefully it'll be fine. I feel like that's the best thing to do in this situation. I'm also just going through and taking off the base of the old leaves just here, because obviously that could potentially cause it to rot more when I put it into the substrate. But yeah, I think it should be all right. I think I should be able to get it back. It's not awful. It hasn't spread all the way up. And then I'm going to put this to one side as well, which I will probably, again, probably sphagnum moss. This is the massive Regale chunk. And if it does nothing, it does nothing. The same with the Radicans one, but obviously this one I will be giving a root prune to. It's got some healthy roots, but the ones down here, not looking good. So yeah, I will do that shortly. I can feel my battery starting to go. I've been doing, my God, I've been doing plant stuff for literally like 5 hours now, and I'm a little bit knackered. But finally, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just get the Peperomia Hope propagating. And I don't know if this is gonna work. Please don't think, oh, well, if Claire does it that way, then it must work, because Claire doesn't know what she's doing here. I've tried this in many, many different ways, and I haven't found a consistent way to get it to work yet. But as I say, a lot of you were saying that leaf cuttings was the best way. And I'm debating moss or soil. I think I might do moss. So again, little hummus container. I'm just going to put some sphagnum moss in here. I'm essentially making a little prop box. And this is very similar to how I propagate peperomia. I do typically use soil actually, but I have done moss in the past and it has worked well. So I don't doubt that this will, if it's gonna work, if this will work as a substrate. But then what I think I'll do, these are some very small leaves. I think the little ones, I'm just gonna chop and stick straight into the soil. And then the slightly bigger ones, I'm gonna chop in half. I say soil, sphagnum moss. I'm gonna chop in half and put into the sphagnum moss. So let's give that a go. Because in theory, with peperomia, you can kind of chop a bit of the leaf anywhere and it can propagate. So yeah, I've just got one of the very little leaves there. I'm just going to stick that straight down in. And I think I'm going to do half and half. I'm going to do the little ones that I'm sticking straight in on one side, and then the half leaf cuttings on the other side. So if anything does start to rot or go a little bit wrong, it's not all mixed up together. So yeah, this is one of the slightly bigger leaves. And this, I think I'm just going to chop straight down the middle. And then the fresh cut sections pop into the sphagnum moss. And I will let you know if this works. I'll be really, really happy if it does. To be honest, I think I'd be better off starting with slightly bigger leaves, like the leaves that I haven't chopped off my Peperomia Hope. I think that would probably give it the best chance. But we're going to see. We're going to see how this goes. And although it's a pretty fast plant, well, not the slowest plant to grow, I do find certain types of Peperomia quite slow to root. So I would have thought if I keep this somewhere very light, very warm, I keep the moss hydrated, I'm going to keep it enclosed. I would have thought that maybe it would take about, assuming nothing rots, about 6 weeks to know whether or not this has worked. So yeah, stay tuned and I will let you know. And hopefully we'll have some lovely babies. And if we don't, then we'll try again. But yeah, cool. So that is what it's looking like. I'm going to just put a little bit more moisture into this moss, just to run a little line, maybe like 1 millimetre at the bottom. And then, yeah, pop them by the window and I'll let you know. But yeah, I think this is where I feel a natural end to my plant chores today. I feel like I've got through a lot. I've built some shelves, which took me an absolute age. I've done a lot of rearranging. I've done a lot of just general repotting, fun plant chores, but I'm ready to go make a cup of tea and sit on the sofa with Yoli now. So yes, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you were doing stuff along with me, as always, I really hope you got lots done. If you did like this style of video, again, give it a thumbs up, let me know in the comments below, and I will 100% make more like this because this has been lovely. This has been really nice and I've really enjoyed doing a video like this. And yeah, if you did enjoy it, make sure, as I've just said, to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.
Stay sexy, plant lovers.